You're listening to the Small and Supercharged podcast with Ria Freeman, episode 111.
On today's podcast, we're joined by the insanely talented Teresa Lewis, aka Teresa Lewis Art. And I have to say, just as we started recording this, Teresa has so kindly sent me and the boys, well, I say me and the boys, I've taken out the chocolate and a lot of other things. But me and the boys, my little boys, a box of Happy, which is amazing. I know you're selling them on the website as well. And It is just, I mean, they are boxes of joy. So we'll talk about that later, but I'm still in the kind of euphoric state, helped by having a Kathy's chocolate unicorn, let's be quite honest.
Yeah, that is something to behold. Kathy's chocolate is just out of this world.
Big shout out to Kathy. So thank you so much for joining us, Teresa. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I am in sunny Suffolk in the countryside. I am 4th week into self-isolation, so keeping myself busy. And
this has been recorded during the coronavirus lockdown, so it'll be out a few weeks after we've recorded it. So yes. Teresa might be out by now, but you never know. So can you tell us a bit about what you do?
Okay, so I am an artist and I primarily do animal art. So equestrian mainly, but farm animals and wildlife and pets as well. So I do commissions, but I also do like a range of cards and gifts as well. It started simply because I wanted to do something for myself. I was doing a lot of stitch and paint. I do mixed media work as well. And I literally did Harry and Bono, my 2 horses, and a friend saw it and was like, oh, could you do mine? And then it's like my friend said, oh, can you do hers? And it's literally grown from there.
Oh, wow. And how long have you been doing this now?
And where are we now? So just shy of 12 months.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I thought it was much longer than that.
No, officially just shy of 12 months. We did our first ever show in May last year.
I remember the show.
Yes.
Because you did a video for the mastermind group, didn't you? Showing the stand and the setup, and it was fab.
So before then, it was literally just sticking my toe in the water a little bit. So I was doing commissions, and my first ever product was a card, and I'd print it off at home and fold it up and put it in the little envelope and in the cello bag, and then it was the notelets that I'd made, and my mum was up, so she was folding the notelet folder and wrapping them up, and then it was like, actually, I could have it on this and all these lovely things. And so May was our first show.
Wow, that's amazing. So when did you decide to kind of do this as your big job? Because obviously you said it progressed a little bit from doing, your own horses to a commission. So how did that kind of grow and develop?
I think it developed because I was actually starting to do quite a lot of commissions, and people were saying, "Oh, can you get it on anything else?" Or and then people were sending me pictures of their horses doing funny things, like for example Oscar on the t-shirts. My lovely friend Indra, that's her horse, and it was like, oh wow, that's amazing. So I did that one, and then somebody else would send me one, and it's like, this is actually really lovely. Why don't I get it printed on? And I think the first ever thing I got printed was a cushion.
Wow.
And it was just, I loved it. It was just like all these lovely things I could buy and have this stuff printed on, and it just made me feel really warm and fuzzy. So that's how it kind of progressed, really.
That's so exciting. You started off literally printing at home. And can you talk about the depth of the range now? Because as I said, in the box of Happy, what's funny is that I've got 2 boys, Charlie and Oscar. So he will be thrilled that there is Oscar the horse on his t-shirt. So cute. I wish you could see, well, obviously you know them. I wish people here could see them, but I will be putting a lot of pictures, and I have to do a little video for IGTV trying to unwrap it with one hand. So that's worth it for a start. So can you talk now about the depth of product range that you do? Because you've really moved on from doing a kind of card and notelets, haven't you?
Yeah, I started by, like I said, with the cushions, and I did a lot of research into what other products I could have my work put onto, and I wanted to do the things that equestrians would need or would find useful or would just enjoy. Um, because equestrian was the sort of first thing I kind of concentrated on. So after the cushions, I then had some placemats done and various things, and I had sort of bits all over the place. So I had some sort of homeware, some kind of like pencils, and it's kind of bit bitty. So I decided to have them in different sections, and thought, right, okay, mugs would be nice, and then a coaster and some placemats, and the cushions are lovely. But what could go with those? Well, a blanket would be really lovely. So I kind of had to stop myself from just getting it printed on everything, and just that's too much, and kind of get it down to a nice amount of lovely gifts and cards, without going off a tangent too much.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, because I know that for the obviously I run the equestrian tested panel in NFU Countryside magazine,
Yeah.
and we had your rug, and it was one of your cups as well, wasn't it? One of your travel mugs as
Yes.
a test in there as well, which was so lovely and did so well. I know Olivia absolutely adored that.
Bless her.
Bless her. No, I know she's a big old fan of that. So in terms of kind of you and your horsey life, how did that all start?
I wasn't horsey as a child. A friend of mine had a horse. So the first horse I ever sat on, I was about 13. And she just sort of, I don't know, set a little spark in me somehow. I didn't have any lessons until I was 40.
Wow.
And I had been ill health, retired from my job, and I thought, you know what, life's a bit short, and I'd been really unwell with my illness, and so I thought, you know what, I want to try horse riding. So I literally, when we moved here, I went down, had some lessons at the local school. I did my BHS level 1 horse stable management course, and I waited 2 years before I got my first horse. So I got my first horse at 42.
Wow. And that's the horse you've got now?
No, the horse I've got now he's been here a couple of years now, but no, the first horse I ever bought was called Bart, and he was stunning, or he is stunning to look at. He's a Percheron cross, 18 hands, beast.
Wow.
So I had him and Bono the Shetland, he'll be 14 in June, 9 hands, fluffball. So I had those two to begin with, but let's just say Bart and I just didn't connect. And I persevered for 2.5 years because I was like, I promised him a home for life, we've got to work this out. And there comes a point where you have to have somebody to say, yeah, just have a think, it's not working. And I'd had a couple of bad falls, but I'd got back on. And so in the end, he then went to my instructor, Sarah, and he loves life now. He is loving life because he just does his job and then he gets left alone. Whereas I wanted a horse that wanted to sort of be around you and you could snuzzle up to on bad days, that kind of thing. So then I found Harry. And Harry is like a big, big Labrador. He's just such I mean, when brains were handed out, he didn't have many, but he is the kindest horse, and him and Bono are just best friends. It's amazing.
Oh, bless. And what sort of horse is he?
He is a Irish sports horse cross, and he's 17 hands, so I did go down a tiny bit.
A decent sized horse.
Oh yeah, I'm 5'10", so I wanted something where I didn't look like I was going to be too big.
No, that's fair enough. I am tall, so I feel your pain.
Yes, you always feel really diddy on sort of like, even when I was learning to ride, I think Merlin was about 15 something, and I just felt like I was a bit small on him.
Yeah, I think they sometimes I know the super cob. She's not exactly a giant. She's probably 15 too. But I had an ex-racehorse before her who was much taller. He was just under 17 hands, and I felt much bigger on him than on her because of
Yeah,
the middle, the
the
barrel.
width. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, Bart had a big barrel. He was very much, sort of. You could do a good inner thigh workout with him. Harry isn't so wide, but yeah, he's still quite. Especially now they've started back on the grass. They are quite barrel-like. Yeah.
So do you find that your horses and looking after them and riding them and working them fits well around your job and how you run it and how you work it all together?
Yeah, it does work well because I work from home. It does mean that I have to kind of timetable myself. So, and there's some days where I have to write off because I'm not well. But on the days that I am well, I can kind of timetable myself, and I have to do that. Otherwise, I go off at a tangent and forget, to do things, or I should have done something and I didn't. I started doing something else. So yeah, I do get the time to work with them regularly, but at the moment and during the winter it was quite difficult because the winter was just horrendous for everybody. And I wasn't riding him as much as I wanted to, and I just felt really, really guilty. So my best friend who helps me, keeps me in check and actually lives next door, Naomi, just said, cut yourself some slack, give them the winter off and stop feeling guilty. And that's what I did. And of course, now I'm in a situation where, we can't really do much, but I'm just now taking the time to go back a bit and do groundwork and just be.
Yeah.
I love sitting in the paddock with them, just eating grass. They're sat there, they'll wander over, they'll snuzzle, and then they'll go off. And I think that's good for them as well as for me.
Yeah.
We are blessed to have the countryside, surrounding us and what we can do.
Yeah, definitely. So I know when we talked about this podcast before, you were quite keen to talk about your ill health and how you've managed to develop your business and kind of work it all together. So could you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. First, I think if I just explain, because not everybody will know, but 2005 I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, which is it's a bowel disease where the immune system attacks your bowel because it thinks it's something wrong with it, but actually there isn't. So it has a big effect on your immune system. So as a result of my Crohn's, I was also diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which is under the kind of ME lupus umbrella, and also arthritis. So I had quite a lot of going on, and so yeah, I ill health retired because I couldn't do a steady job. So, there were days where I just couldn't do anything, and other days I'd be flying around like a Tasmanian devil. So I wanted to do something that was still productive. And for me, the artwork was just a perfect way of being able to do something when I was well enough to do it. So, and even if I'm having a bad day, I can still sit there and, do some artwork. So it gives me a sense of achievement still. That's why I kind of started the artwork in the first place, was because it gave me a sense of achievement. I felt like I made a bit of difference. So when I was doing a commission and somebody was like, oh, that's really lovely, I lost my horse, that made me feel really good inside. So that's how it kind of progressed, because more and more people was, coming back and saying, thank you very much, gave me that self-worth back. So I'm in a situation now where if I'm having a bad day, it's okay to hibernate, and on good days you do what you can. And I think the main issue is the fact that because it is an invisible illness, and it's an invisible disability, and I think it's so important to understand that, there are people out there that look great on the outside, but they've actually got stuff going on either physically or mentally that you're not aware of. So for me, that's a really important message to get out to people.
So what have you got any advice for anybody who is in the situation you perhaps were in 2005, not necessarily with the same conditions, but
Yeah.
with, because obviously it must have been a horrific time, not only to be as poorly as you were, but then being told that you were going to be basically retired from work.
Yeah.
And that must have been a real moment, thinking, well, what am I going to do now? Because obviously you were much younger than the normal retirement age. So can you give anyone any advice about that situation and how they could possibly process it?
I think what you need to do is you do need to take some time out and just start learning to listen to your mind and your body again, because there's a lot of changes that have happened, and there may be things that you've done in the past that you can't necessarily achieve now, or you can't do without making yourself unwell. So I think it's important that you take a section of time just to be really conscious of how you were feeling, both mentally and physically, and then kind of, it's almost like getting to know yourself again, if that makes sense. I think then you can kind of think, right, okay, I've got these skills, I can do these when I'm well, or okay, I can do this when I'm not feeling so great, and then just hone in on something that gives you a bit of a warm fuzzy feeling. Do you know what I mean? And concentrate on that, because I think that's important to for your well-being.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think as well, something that's come over really strongly from speaking to you is that even though in some areas you might not be able to do with something that you want to, or something that you were previously able to, actually, because you've really focused in on the things that give you that warm fuzzy feeling, you are really excelling in other ways. I mean, your collection is stunning and the work you do is beautiful. And it genuinely, when I opened up my parcel of happy, I know Victoria Bodie from Equiboodle, who we will talk about in a minute as well, when she opened up her parcel, it genuinely brings joy. So having the ability to use your talents and use your skills, that perhaps if you had a sliding doors moment and you were back in your kind of normal job, you wouldn't have been able to hone and develop as much. That must be quite a nice thing, although I appreciate the reason that you're perhaps doing it full time isn't so nice. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally get what you mean. It's finding something positive out of a negative, really. I think in any given situation, there's always, every day, I try and explain, every day if I have a bad day, instead of dwelling on what was bad, I try and find 3 positive things.
Yeah.
So it may be really silly. It may be, I got up and I got dressed. It may be I got up and washed my hair. But it's similar with the business and with other people starting out. You've got to try and make the best of a bad situation. Yeah. I was given another chance at getting well enough. I had a lot of operations. I was very, very unwell and nearly died at one point. So the fact that I am now in a situation where I can do this, but that's why I say you need to just take time out and get to know yourself and learn new skills, if you need to, in order to then be in the best situation that you can be, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I think as well, obviously you have got a natural ability for art, and so your work genuinely is beautiful, but I imagine you've had to learn a huge amount since you started your business, because when you run a business, it's not just, in your case, the drawing of the lovely things, it's the sourcing of the product, it's all the other things as well.
I had no clue. I have never run a business before. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. So I kind of hit the ground running. So it was a lot of research, reading about small business, getting to know people who were in a similar situation with me, so mentally it was quite hard work because I didn't have a clue. So I kind of hit the ground, like I said, running, and I was kind of picking it up as I went. But if you put the work in to understand what is going on, that sort of manic feeling sort of subsides, and you then start to enjoy what you're actually trying to achieve. So yeah, it's been difficult, but it's doable. You have to be very sort of try and be as confident as you can about it. I do suffer with what's the syndrome, imposter syndrome from time to time. You know, I do think, crikey, somebody actually likes my work and they've actually bought something. You know, it is that kind of feeling. But you have to take on board what people are saying, and you know, if it's you'll always get the odd negative, but you know, if you're getting all this positive stuff, do something with it. That's what I would say to anybody. You know, there's a reason why people are saying that it's good and they like it, so I would say just run with it.
Absolutely. So you obviously, as you said previously, last year you did shows. This year it's a little bit different because we are currently in the middle of the coronavirus outbreak and the lockdown connected with it. But that doesn't mean your products aren't getting into different places, does it?
No, not at all. And actually, I found in the last 4 weeks that I've actually been shared and met so many more people online through the social media aspect, and doing things on my website that I hadn't done before. So again, it's taking a positive out of a negative situation. So taking the time to do more interaction with social media, talking to other like-minded business people, offering, you know, just support to each other. So this has been actually a really, really positive time for me. You know, I can't, there are days where obviously I want to hibernate, don't get me wrong. You know, there's days where you just think, yeah, I can't deal with this. But on the whole, it has been a really lovely time to take time and connect with people, especially like in the small and supercharged group and the extra, and I'm part of the mastermind group. It's an incredible community. And yeah, it gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling being a part of it, which is also important, I think.
Oh, definitely.
You know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you want your community to be supportive, and not kind of supportive, you know, rose-tinted glasses on, but you know, you can still say quite not critical things, but you can be quite critical or quite constructive in your criticism, but still be very positive in it. And I think that we're really lucky with the groups that, especially in Mastermind and Extra, we've got such a lovely bunch of people all pushing for the same thing, but together, and it's such a lovely place. I'm very proud.
It is such a lovely place, and you should be proud of it. I think, you know, there's people that do similar things to what I do. You know, we've got Emily, she's a horse, does her horse art, and yes, we're sort of similar, but we're not. You know, our styles are completely different, and what she does is completely different. And it's lovely how we are still also supportive of each other without going, well, I don't want to tell you that because otherwise you might do what I've got in mind. It's not like that at all.
No,
you know, and I think sometimes the equestrian community can get a bit of a bad press. But we've shown that actually, you know, there are some really brilliant people out there.
Definitely. And one person you've collaborated with, who is a great friend of mine, and I also work with her, is Victoria from Equiboodle. Now, you were, as we're recording this, last week you did an Instagram live with Vic, but also you are now, your range is now in Equiboodle shop and online, isn't it?
Yes, I am so pleased. I'm still doing the happy dance. I am jumping around all the time, just so happy this has happened. We talked about it, I think it must have been January time. I think I spoke to Vic and Ginny, because I know they wanted to take on board some people who products they love, you know, and so when they said, actually, we really like what you're doing, it was like, who, me? Okay. So we were going to get it all planned and launched at the beginning of April, and I was going to travel down, and we were going to, you know, bring the stock down and meet you and Vic, and but obviously that didn't happen. So I was rapidly boxing things up and making all the, you know, making it all look lovely, sent it all down, and she's phenomenal. The work that she's putting in, just, you feel like part of the sort of Equiboodle family.
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? You know, she her passion just sort of flows. You just feel it, and it's just so nice to be a part of that. I'm still quite, I don't know. I sometimes I still can't believe that she wanted my things in her shop. Do you know?
It's going to look amazing in the shop. The shop's beautiful anyway, but she does such a lovely job. They're what's it called? Not their point of sale. The way they dress things and the way they put things together in the shop.
Yeah.
I'll get there in the end. The name will come to me later. There's a proper term, isn't there? Merchandising. The way they merchandise. There we go. Got there in the end. Crikey. Products is so lovely, and your products are so. I can just see it. It's going to be amazing. Can't wait to see it in the shop.
I can't wait to see it. I know I'll obviously get sent pictures and things, but I can't wait to, when this is all over, to actually come down and, you know, and meet you and Ginny and Vic, and just see it in person, really, because I still find it a little bit difficult. Like I love the videos that people make, like Olivia, like Vic, and like you've just done, of opening something up and what your reaction is, because I don't normally get to see that bit.
No.
You know, I send it off with love and off it goes, but I don't actually get to see that bit. So the fact that, you know, she's taken the time to go, actually, I would like your stuff, bring it down, and this is, you know, talk about it and be so enthusiastic about it is just amazing.
I have to say, I mean, spoiler alert, when you watch mine, most of the time I say, oh my god, oh my god, that's basically like the whole video, just me saying that. It's amazing, for all the wrong reasons. So thinking about your sort of business journey, what have your low points been? Don't worry, we're going to go high afterwards, but we're going to bring it down and then we're going to go up, because it's better that way than the other way.
Absolutely. No, I agree. I think probably the real low was right at the beginning, when we decided we were going to do shows, and we'd built ourselves up. I say we, because obviously Naomi is, you know, she's my sort of wing woman, not officially, but she helps me. We had built ourselves up into, this is going to be an amazing show, we're going to sell so much, bought loads of stock, and it wasn't as great as we thought it was going to be. We were meant to be in a craft tent with arts and things, and there were stalls next to us with things from, you know, like mass produced from China, and do you know what I mean? Not quite the same. So we got home, sat on the driveway in the car, just feeling absolutely exhausted, and just looked at each other and went, gin? And it was like, yeah, gin. So that was a kind of low, because we were building ourselves up into it being this amazing thing we're doing, and I don't think we understood the sort of reality of it. Our expectations were a lot higher. So I had about a week, I think, of just feeling really low, and why am I doing this?
Yeah.
You know, what am I trying to achieve by doing this? But, you know, you pick yourself up and you book the next show and you book the next one. And, you know, it's a bit like a roller coaster. The rest of the shows that we did during the year were really, really good. You know, there were factors where, like, I did the Finland show. It was 36 degrees on both days. So obviously the amount of people that were coming was sort of like half. So it's external factors that sort of, you know, can cause issues initially. But I think, the lowest point was the fact that we'd put so much pressure on ourselves that this was going to be amazing. And it didn't quite work out like that.
But shows can be so, some shows are absolutely incredible and some just aren't. And as you say, sometimes it's the weather and everything. You know, the shows work really, really hard. They've promoted it really well, ticks all the boxes, and then it throws it down, or it's literally the temperature of the sun and people don't go. And or other times people can actually not promote it so well, but because the weather's perfect, you know, there's so many variables.
Yeah, I think there is. I think you've got to choose, and I know we use the word tribe quite a lot, but you have to experiment a little bit.
Yeah.
So for me, it's country shows and equestrian farm type shows. We set up at Great Witchingham for 2 days at the horse trials. And although we didn't have a lot of customers because, they go for a horse trial, not to go and spend money, it was good. One, because we got ourselves out there, but two, also, it gave us the experience that we needed to decide whether we were going to do that kind of show again. Yeah. So I think, again, going back to this, there's a negative, but let's find some positives.
Yeah.
I think, okay, it didn't work, but it did because of this, this, and this.
Yeah,
it is a bit of a roller coaster.
So what's been your highest high or highs so far?
My first ever highest high was the lovely Zoe at Equestrian Life, who did an article about me last year. We spoke on the phone and she did this lovely little article in her magazine about me, which was like, oh, that's incredible. So that was a real high. Obviously working with Vic, now at Equiboodle, Absolute Horse, being featured in magazines of gift guides, that is just incredible. And I think it's just, I don't know, just all those things amalgamating. It's just that sense of community and knowing that you're not on your own, and there is support there, and there are really lovely people. That is that sort of high that you want, and that's the high that I've had, particularly in the last sort of few weeks.
Yeah, no, definitely. That makes perfect sense. And loads more highs to come, clearly. I'm very excited. Definitely. That's the thing with the question. It's like, oh, what's your high? And it's like, well, it's not over yet. I mean, let's reduce any lows, definitely, but go for the highs all the time.
Yes, highs are good. I'm sure there will be the odd low again, but it's all looking positive, and if we can keep that mindset, we'll all get through it.
100%. So can you tell our lovely listeners all the places where they can find you, your website and on your social platforms too?
Okay, so my website is www.teresalewisart.co.uk. My Facebook is Teresa Lewis Art. I'm on Twitter as Teresa Ginge Arts. And on my Instagram, I am Teresa Lewis Art. So fairly straightforward.
That's good. It's good to keep it all straightforward. I like that.
Really?
If you do listen to the podcast, do make sure you screenshot, share to stories and tag us both, because I know I'd like to see who's listening to this one. And I know so many people are going to absolutely love it. Do you have anything else you'd like to add or share with us before I let you carry on being creative?
No, I don't. Well, just please, everybody, just keep supporting one another, support small businesses. You don't have to buy anything. I've got free downloads on my website.
Yes, we must talk. Actually, tell us about those free downloads. I meant to talk about that earlier.
So I have got a couple of colouring pages on my website for people to download and colour in. I did a thank you key workers poster. I basically did a little character a day of all the people that are keeping the world ticking over right now, and it's available as a download on my website. Sorry, so you can go in there. You have to as if you're doing an order, but it's free. Stick those in your windows, get that scene out there. So that's something else I've been doing, and I'm doing a new character every day. So please don't think, oh, she's missed off this or she's missed off this, because there are so many people that are keeping us safe right now.
Absolutely. No, I think definitely be kind is a really good point to leave this podcast on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.